Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Yo coming at you again. So what I'm going to be doing is a deck profile, but of just like a deck profile that I talked about in one of my earlier videos. Probably I think my last Yu-Gi-Oh video that I did, and saying that I had a Performage Brilliant engine in my Tellars, and I just decided that I really wanted to show you guys. I know it's unplayable as per right now, but I wanted to do it anyway. This deck, I didn't really get to play at locals or anything because by the time I was able to get all the proper cards for it, the adjusted list had come up, so I couldn't play it at locals or anywhere that I really wanted to that was really important. So I never really got to play test it a whole lot, other than the few duels that I did play test it. But other than that, it was the deck was really well built, and it came, like, a lot of the cards came in pretty clutch. So might as well get started. I'll start off with the Tellarknight engine in the deck, which obviously you run the playset of Altair and playset of Deneb, because you can't play Satellarknights without a playset of each, because that's just how they work. And then for the rest of the Tellarknight engine that I use 2 Anuk and 1 Vega. The thing is that I usually like the 2 Anuk, 2 Vega, but in this deck profile, the deck was pretty tight, and I couldn't fit the second Vega in, and the 2 Anuk, 1 Vega worked well enough for me to not consider taking something out for the second Vega. So yeah, that was my Tellarknight engine for the main deck. And then for the rest of the engine in the deck, what I ran was a small Performage engine, which consisted of 1 Hat Tricker, 1 Trick Clown, and 2 Damage Juggler. Just a 4 card main deck engine. Normally, like, when I play the Performage engine, I usually like to go 3 Damage Juggler, 2 Hat Tricker, but like I said, I only needed the 2/1/1 because the deck was tight, and B, I didn't want to clog it with an engine that I only wanted to have a small little itty bit to speed the deck up. And as well as part of the Performage engine, but not really, but that kind of dips into another engine, is the Brilliant engine, which I ran 1 Garnet for. The thing is that I like to send the Garnet and Trick Clown off of Brilliant Fusion, or send the Damage Juggler and Garnet, so I can use Juggler's effect to search one of these 2 guys out. Most of the time it would be Hat Tricker, but the combo was really good, and if you really needed to, like, you needed a Tellarknight monster in the grave, all the Tellarknights are light, so you can use the Tellarknights with the engine as well. So it's actually kind of cute how the Brilliant engine works with, like, all your monsters except for Hat Tricker in the main deck. So it's pretty nice like that. So it's a double interaction there, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. And then to continue on the Brilliant engine, but entering the spells now, was I played the playset of Brilliant Fusion. This is the 3 Brilliant Fusion. A lot of people seem to get confused with it. You always want to run a 3-to-1 ratio in terms of Brilliant Fusion to Garnet, so that you can see the Brilliant Fusion way more often than you see the Garnet. But one suggestion I would have, if you don't like the 3-to-1, is a 3 Brilliant Fusion to 2 Garnet, so that when you use Trevor, you bounce your Gem Knight, Saffronite off the board back into your hand, which in turn would go back to your extra deck. You can use a second Brilliant Fusion to summon summon Satellarknight out again by milling the second Garnet, but I just found that I never needed to go into a second Satellarknight, because by the time I would have the capability to use a second one, I was either in a really strong winning position, or I was in a really strong losing position, and having that second Satellarknight out wasn't going to help me. And to continue on with the spells, sorry about taking so long. I'll try to speed it up a little bit. Foolish Burial, usually to get either Hat Tricker or Damage Juggler in the graveyard, or like I said, if you really need one of those Tellarknight monsters in the grave, you can use this to ditch that as well. So you can use Altair to be able to summon it again, or use a Call the Haunted or something like that. Then I use the double instant fusions, because instant fusion is instant fusion. If you don't need to use it, you can ditch it with the Brilliant Fusion, so your Gem Knight fusion monster can go back to its original attack from 0, original attack and defense, until your opponent's next extended phase. These next two cards, which I've got as Mystical Space Typhoons, these should be Twin Twisters. I don't have any right now, and the thing is that these were just run in place of the Twin Twisters, but the Twin Twisters were just so much better, and plus you had cards in your deck like your extra Brilliant Fusions after you use the first one to ditch for Twin Twisters, as well as your a second Instant Fusion after you use your first one, and then on top of that you got your extra Satellarknight Sky Bridges. If you find you're not needing this a Sky Bridge right at that time, and it's more important to Twin Twister, then those are usually coming pretty clutch. But for now, it's Mystical Space Typhoon until I can separate those for Twin Twisters. Then to finish off my spells, a couple one-ofs. I use one Regeki, because Regeki you don't really want to get rid of. Reinforcing the army, because you're running a warrior deck, so why wouldn't you run it? And then the double Satellarknight Skybridge, because Satellarknight Skybridge is Satellarknight Skybridge. Then moving on to the traps, one Bottomless, because Bottomless is Bottomless. Playset of Call the Haunted. I've played around with different ratios with this card. I've tried 2, I've tried 1, I've tried 3. I find that 3 is the most necessary in this deck, because you do have such a low monster count, and you need access to all of your monster effects all the time. So Call the Haunted is at 3 is necessary. I still in this deck profile, I ran 2 copies of Fiendish Chain. Trevor is a thing. I found that the continuous effect negation was necessary, and that you kept your opponent's monster from attacking, and plus if they overlaid with it, tributed it, or whatever it is that they did with it, and this card became dead, you could always Trevor send it back to your hand just to reuse it. Same thing goes with Call of the Haunted too, and as well as the next card that I'm about to show you, which is 2 copies of Oasis of Dragon Souls. You always use this to retrieve your monsters from the grave. I've tried 3, I've tried 1. I found that Oasis of Dragon Souls is the best suited at 2. I really wouldn't suggest running it at 1, but if you're going to have a different number than 2, I would suggest 3, but I found that 2 to be the most optimal number. Then to continue on, this is a Solemn Warning. I really like this in the deck. I would have had this as a Solemn Strike, but Solemn Warning does the job, and being that they're still like $60 a piece or more, I found that Sullen Warning was sufficient, and this isn't a 100% complete stun style deck, so I didn't find it necessary to go over more than one. And then I run the playset of Alpha, which should be obvious. Any smart Satellarknight player will run 3 alphas. There shouldn't be any explanation there for it. And then for my last 2 traps, I run a time space trap hole and a vanity's emptiness. Those shouldn't be really explained. There is control, a lot of control in this deck in terms of the traps, but the style of play isn't 100% control. Otherwise, I would have had the 3 strikes, another time space, and a few other things in it. Now to move on to the extra deck, I had ran the standard Tellarknight, the Tellarknight lineup for the XYZs: 2 Trevor, 1 Deltaros, 1 Constellar Diamond, and 1 Tellarknight Platonomyos. This lineup was, in my opinion, is pretty standard for a Tellarknight deck. You need two Trevors, 3 you'll never go into 3, and 1 typically isn't enough. Deltaros, you never really need more than 1. And then same thing with Platonomyos and Constellar Diamond, is that you definitely need, especially for this build, you need the 1 Platonomyos, and Constellar Diamond you never really need to go into more than once. And then for the rest of the extra deck stuff, this is more up for interpretation, but this is how I like to run the rest of the extra deck. The 1 1 Castel Skyblaster Musketeer, because I found that it was really necessary to be able to spin your opponent's cards basically on command. And then the main reason why I ran Platonomyos is 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. This card was just the nuts. Is super clutch. Like you get this out with Traptrix Rafflesia, and it's really difficult for your opponent to get over it, especially if you got a lot of back row. 1 copy of Daigusto Emerald to recycle your resources if you need to, as well as you do run the vanilla Gem Knight monster, so you can use its effect to special summon it for another XYZ play, or if you're running on low on resources that you need to recycle some stuff, you can use this effect to shuffle monsters back into the deck. Excuse me. And then to continue on with the extra deck, I run the 1 copy of Diamond Direwolf for spot removal, because you never know. There's been times where I force my opponent to use their back row when I go into Diamond, because it's either force them to use it now, or face having that card removed. 1 copy of Elder Entity Norden, because you would be silly not to, and I would have ran a second one at the time, but the thing is I just didn't have the room in the extra deck for it. Then obviously Cowboy for Game, because Cowboy for Game is Cowboy for Game. Then I ran 1 Gem Knight Saphronite, same for the sole purpose of having that extra normal summon. Sometimes that second normal summon comes in super clutch and you need it. And then I ran the Performage Trapeze Magician, because sometimes you're able to get 2 Performage monsters out on board, and sometimes that second attack is required. And then last but not least, the Traptrix Rafflesia. Nothing stronger than being able to get a Rafflesia infinity on board, plus having like a fiendish chain and like something a couple other back rows on board to protect yourself. And that's it for my extra deck. To go into the side deck, my side deck was helped a little bit more with the Trapeze Magician to be able to get it on board, but this deck was kind of catered to the decks that were most powerful at the time. So I ran 2 copies of Max C for anything that special summons quite a bit. 2 copies of Plushfire Performage Plushfire. That'll become a little bit more obvious once I get to the 2 spells here. And then Thunder King, which is really nice. Thunder King plus the mixture of Max C's helps deal with Burning Abyss, along with my Satellarknight and Stellar Diamond. That's it for the monsters that I run in my side. Yeah, and then for this only 2 spells that I run on the side is 2 Wavering Eyes. The Wavering Eyes in conjunction with the Plushfire is pretty strong. Like your opponent has 2 on pendulum scales on board. You activate yours, and then after activating yours, you chain Wavering Eyes. You hit for 3, and then the only thing that you're really not doing is being able to search out a second Wavering Eyes, but you're able to banish one of their cards, destroy both their scales, search your second Plushfire, and then on top of that, you're able to deal them 500 damage. And the Plushfire special summon, I think it let's see here. Yeah, you're able to special summon when it's destroyed with Wavering Eyes. You're able to special summon another Performage monster from your deck, so it allows you to deck thin even further. So you basically get a 500 damage. Just search for your other Plushfire. Your Plushfire you destroyed special summons a Performage from your deck, and then like 500 damage plus damage, banishing one monster one card your opponent controls is pretty nutty. So which is why I liked playing the Performage Plushfire in conjunction with the Wavering Eyes. Pretty clutch in terms of deck thinning and spamming out the board. The deck is pretty fast. And then I ran the 2 anti-spell fragments as well, because he kind of allows you to have the anti-meta game there for pendulum stuff. No explanation really needed there. And then for the Cosmo matchup, I ran the playset of Imperial Iron Wall. I wanted to play Soul Drain, but as well as playing the two Imperial Iron Wall, but I found that I just didn't have enough room in my side deck for it, and sometimes the pay 1,000 life points could be quite costly depending on the situation. So I just left it at the playset of Imperial Iron Wall. Then for the last 3 cards of my side deck, I played a playset of Master of Restrict, because the Monarchs are quite the threat, and the 3 Master of Restrict is, in my opinion, a definite necessary to be able to slow their plays down, and if not, completely stop them. So yeah, the 3 Master of Restricts. So I apologize for such a long video. Thanks for watching. If you got any comments, suggestions, leave it in the comment section below. If you like this video, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing. And thank you guys once again for watching. And I'll be back soon with another video. Yoke out.